the back, the VOD and the silver screen. Kevin and Tom and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 801, MaXXXine.
That's right. The
I mean,
official
you're not wrong.
pronunciation.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes. Yeah. So, I guess let's just go around the table virtually, and everyone can introduce
Sorry,
themselves.
everybody. This is Joe.
This is Kevin, and I'm not virtual.
Yeah. This is Tom. I am also not virtual. And
This is what I get for being a good person.
you should be sorry for being Joe.
Every day, brother. Every day.
No, that's good. Tom has a big play coming up, and we got to make sure that he does not get sick before it.
I've
well,
been sick.
Yeah, and I got a touch of the vid. I
Yeah.
had COVID last wave. I've had COVID this past week, so I didn't want to get anybody sick.
But you have tested negative.
I
but
have tested negative. Yes,
erring
yes.
on the side of caution.
I went to the movie. I went to urgent care before I went to the movie yesterday, and tested negative. I was like, I'm going. I'm getting out of this house.
I mean, I was like, well, I mean, if you're negative, but out of an abundance of caution.
Correct.
And
You're
I don't
supposed
want
to
to ruin
be.
your big debut.
oh, jeez, it's not a debut. I've been in plays before,
You're
but it
supposed-
has been 30 years.
Your big return.
Yeah.
The guidelines for those of you who don't remember, because I got a refresher last night, is you're supposed to distance for 5 days from your first symptoms, which today would be the 5th day for Joe.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to mask for the next 5 days.
Yes.
So
correct.
you're still contagious for another 5 days, technically.
Technically, yes.
It's interesting, like, how quickly you test negative now. You know what I mean?
It
Like,
is
One
very
is probably it's probably the other test too. Like remember there were two tests. One was like the quick rapid one, and
Right.
one was the more elaborate one. And so you probably test negative on maybe the lower one while you still have traces for the other one
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
It is
it just
also,
seemed like
it's-
before, if you were testing positive, you tested positive for a long time.
I have a friend on Twitter who's another critic, and she's been testing positive for weeks now. And she's finally like a month later, she's like, I finally tested negative. So usually you don't test negative in a few days. It's like
my
weeks and
ex-wife.
weeks.
That happened to my ex-wife. She
Yeah.
got it in March of 2020 and tested positive.
Mhm.
Went back to work and then tested positive again, and they sent everybody back home like that. And
Yeah.
that was early in COVID,
Right.
where they're like, we don't know what's what.
And what sucks is you can get it again while you're in that first 10 days.
Oh,
You
sure.
can get you can re-get it right after. It's not like, I don't know, like what the flu or whatever, where if
Chickenpox.
you get sick with one type of thing, you cannot get that again. Like
Right.
COVID, if you get it from someone who's contagious, like you just get it again. Right?
It is
instantly, which
wild
sucks.
to see how far we've come.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, we were out. I was quarantined for 2 weeks, and then now here we are, 4 years later, and they're like, "You're okay." Like it's not that.
Well, we have treatments now, and
right.
And it's
you
so
know,
weak. It's not like
yeah, and
It's not
people,
as heavy as it was before.
and
Either.
people have been vaccinated, the
right.
smart ones, and
They've been vaccinated.
yes,
Yeah,
vaccinated. And so it's, if you do get it, it's going to do less damage to you.
Yeah,
It's less
big time.
risky
This is
if
definitely way less than. I did not feel as bad this time as I did that first round.
Oh, that's good. Thus
felt like
far,
death
knock
that
wood,
first
I still haven't gotten it.
But
That's
you've
wild.
had 86 COVID shots.
I've had every COVID vaccine. Like, yes,
You've
I've
had so many vaccines. They're like, look, man, we can't give you anymore.
Yeah, I've had 7 because they keep getting called back to do these medical trials where they're like, you want to try the new COVID vaccine? So, like, I mean, I had a COVID vaccine like 6 weeks ago. And
Okay.
so, yeah, but it's not
Man,
released yet.
You're
but
eating those things like Flintstone vitamins.
yeah, they keep calling me back, and I mean, it's like $1,200-$1,500 every time I do it, and
Yeah.
I get
Oh,
vaccinated.
you pay for
Absolute-
the privilege, right?
Yeah.
I'd absolutely do that.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, okay. And like the most recent one was a COVID and a flu vaccine combo, which if you'll recall, has been my prediction from day one that at some point they're just going to start bundling the COVID and flu vaccines, and like you'll go in to get a flu vaccine and you'll just get a COVID vaccine too.
Yep.
It's just the way it's going to be. And that I also have predicted that at some point you will stop hearing people say cold and flu season, and they will say COVID and flu season.
Oh. It
That's
is funny,
what I-
speaking of COVID, the whole in this movie's prequel
Yeah.
is all set in the Spanish flu. So I think when they filmed it, they were filming it during COVID, so they just kind of
I think
weaved
that was
in
the
the
inspiration,
weaved in the
yes.
Spanish flu. So like
Yes.
everybody's wearing masks and there's quarantines everywhere.
I thought that was pretty clever, the way that he did that
Yeah.
in Pearl.
So that would have been like, what, 1919, 1920?
Yeah.
Yeah, because her husband is off in World War One.
Okay.
So that's why in X in 1979 is when X takes place, and she's an old lady. So yeah, 50 years later, she's like 20 or whatever. So
Yeah.
that lines up.
Pretty good.
if you'll recall, the flu pandemic is what killed Mr. Gower's son in It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what kills his son. That then he almost poisons he almost sends the poison to whoever's house, and then George Bailey is like, "You can't send this," and boxes his ears in.
That's crazy. I did not even put that together.
Yeah, there's a telegram that says like your son has died from influenza.
Oh.
Yeah,
oh boy.
yeah. So
Oh. Look at
you
you.
know, yeah.
And
So
guess what? You can play that in random pieces of Spider-Man movies. It's
Yeah.
also not
Whoa.
not set
I don't
at
even
Christmas
consider
time.
that a Spider-Man movie.
It's not.
Well, Spider-Man's
I had
not
somebody-
in it. There's a man spider in it, but that's
a
different.
friend of mine saw that, and she was like, "Oh, I saw Madam Web," and I was like, "It's awful, right?" And I started talking about it, and I said, "They can't even mention May or Peter." She goes, "What are you talking about?" I go, "What do you mean? What am I talking about?" I'm like, "That's like Adam Scott is Ben Parker," and she goes, "No, he's not." I go, "He is."
Uncle
I'm
Ben.
like, the woman, the baby that Emma Roberts is giving birth to in that movie is Peter Parker. She's like, "I didn't even put that together."
That's funny.
And I was
Right,
like,
'cause it's
That's so
so
funny.
not-
I thought it was going to go the other way, that she was going to say that she could have sworn she heard them say, but like, like she totally
Sure,
fell
sure,
for
sure.
it. you
well,
know?
they can say
No.
Ben Parker. They said Ben, but
They
they
couldn't
can't
say
say
May or
May
Peter.
and Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the really weird thing.
Who's that girl you're seeing? I don't really want to talk about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So dumb.
off.
Who's that girl you're seeing? Maybe I'll tell you later.
Yeah, right. I wish they would have tiptoed around it.
That at least would have been like,
It would've been
okay,
funny,
I'll give
right?
you that.
Emma Roberts, bless her heart. Did you see what she said
So
recently?
I know yes, I did, but somebody posted. It was Cosmic Book News. Said Emma Stone, and I was like,
Okay.
Emma Stone isn't even in that movie. Why would Emma Stone have anything to say about Madam Web?
Because if they report something, it has to be wrong. So that's why they had to
correct.
put. So
It's like when I say the title of a movie,
Yeah.
except I'm doing it on purpose.
Right. So Emma Roberts said that Madam Web would have done much better and been accepted if not for memes.
so stupid.
Like
Yeah.
the movie was fine, but people memed it because
Like-
everything's a joke, and so that's why people thought it was bad. Like what? First of all, memes are getting these movies way more publicity. You think
Yeah,
Morbius
that was
would have
Morbius
gotten
is a
any
great
attention
example.
if Morbin Time didn't happen? Like these memes are actually, and we've talked about it before. The movies that are just okay, that aren't even like amazing movies, people are going to the theater because of these memes and the free advertising.
Yeah.
Where even good movies, if they're not memed, people are like, "What is that?" Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I just thought that was so silly. Like, come on, the movie's bad.
You know,
Don't act
Sony's
like,
like, hey, here's
was
$1
the
million. Can you
memes.
say something good about Madam Web, please? Please.
It was in focus.
Yeah.
Shameless Plugs. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That is super helpful and greatly appreciated. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It's called the League of Show Sharers because we are hoping you will share an episode. People who were kind enough to share an episode last week include Phil Timon, Librarian Cynthia, Lane Levanway, Glenn Cougar Mellon Brewer, Tom Dowdy, Tammy Lynn Powers Betts, Ralph Tribble, Dustin at Nerds at Night Gaming, Travis Tewitt, Richard Krotzer, Chris Magic Man, Chris Vols, who, Joe, I'm supposed to tell you, he reached out to me. He's Crow Killer 6.
Oh, the friend request.
okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, because he can't tag you. He tags me and Tom every week,
Yeah.
and
I
Joe
added,
won't
I
accept his
actually I
request.
added him as a friend.
Okay, so now he can tag you. And
Yeah, now he can tag me.
Okay.
We have a review too, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Well, let me finish this.
No, you're right,
Gabriel Lugo, Jason McLean, Taylor Ward, Heather Sachs, Cinema Recall, Edit Photo Gamer, We Geek Girls. That's a new one. I'm just going to point this out. We've never had them share an episode before until Joe was single. Just pointing that out.
Oh, okay.
Just pointing that
okay.
out. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just
don't be
hey,
sorry.
whatever gets us a download.
Yeah.
If it,
It might
Yeah, I
get
get
you an upload.
Yeah.
Hey now. There goes that share. We're done.
Yeah.
We got him for that one.
Yeah. They're like, and we're out.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what you get for listening to this show.
Geek to Me Radio, Blake Fail, Colby Mack, Binge Movies, Ryan Terry, Matt Niglia, Nostalgia Cast, Ronnie Castle, In Session Film, and Mike, and Oscar. Also, don't forget we have a Patreon, patreon.com/real spoilers, where for $5 a month, you get all sorts of bonus content, and we like you extra. And Joe says we have a review.
We do. So this is from Chuck Norris 787.
Oh,
So
okay.
Chuck Norris is listening. That's great.
Well, what else is he doing? Walker, wasn't in the reboot of Walker.
No.
As
I'm
far
sure
as I know,
he was
he didn't
really
star
happy
in
that he
it.
wasn't in that reboot. This is a 5-star review. It says, "What's up, guys? Wanted to send some encouragement your way and ask Joe a horror question. Love Real Spoilers. Have been a long time listener and genuinely enjoy the conversations and banter you all have. I majored in film studies when I was in college, and even now I love hearing new and interesting thoughts you all bring to keep my favorite medium of art and cinema. Keep it up. Make it to 1,000 episodes. Cheering you on from San Antonio, Texas." Oh man, this is a very thoughtful question. My horror movie question for Joe. I have recently been watching all of the Friday the 13th films in order because I've never watched past the first two when they got into quote unquote scary movies when I was younger. My question is, Friday the 13th the new beginning canon, or do they just ignore it in Jason Lives? Oh,
well, this is
okay.
a question only Joe can answer.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're
So the
asking.
ending of New Beginning sets up Tommy Jarvis as the new Jason. Okay, you can watch Friday 4, 5, and 6 as like its own story. So they do ignore the fact that at the end of Friday 5, that Tommy Jarvis is supposed to be the new Jason. They do ignore that completely because in 6 he comes back. Tommy Jarvis is a completely different actor, and they make no mention of the fact that he shows up in a mental hospital. So you can watch those 3, 4, 5, and 6 are technically like the Tommy Jarvis saga. And then they do kind of just ignore it with Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, if you want to get more Tommy Jarvis, there are 2 fan-made films that are actually pretty good called Never Hike Alone that bring back the actor from Friday 6 to be an older Tommy Jarvis going back to Crystal Lake to see, to take on Jason. So technically those are its own contained story. There's other stuff, and then Jason Takes Manhattan kind of starts basically like one-off Jason movies, like where there's no real continuity to anything.
Was Corey Feldman Tommy Jarvis?
Corey Feldman was Tommy Jarvis in Friday 4, and he's inspired by Tom Savini. That's why his name is Tom.
Okay, cool.
He makes masks and all kinds of. And then I guess Tommy Jarvis is played by 3 different actors in 3 different movies.
Yeah, like Rusty in National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yeah, exactly. Was he ever the same? Was
No.
it ever the same Rusty?
No, I don't think. I think the only one of the children to repeat was, I don't remember the actress's name. I think it's Dana something, but she pops up again in Christmas Vacation 2.
Oh wow. Okay, as an older.
Isn't
Hawaiian
Julia Lewis the daughter once?
whatever. Yeah, in Christmas Vacation, but I think she's the girl from the second one, and she pops up in the made-for-TV Christmas Vacation one that's all based around Cousin Eddie. It's like Christmas Vacation 2,
that's
Cousin
right.
Eddie's Hawaiian Adventure. I've never
Eddie's
seen
Hawaiian
it.
Adventure.
Yeah, it's, but you could just tell by. It's made for TV.
I remember
right?
that
Like,
cover.
Yeah.
You either die a hero or live long enough to go Hawaiian.
Yes. Oh, I just went Hawaiian. So
Beetlejuice
yeah.
goes Hawaiian.
Yeah, was supposed to.
It was supposed to.
So also we have YouTube, youtube.com/@theclipout. Or no, @RealSpoilers.
There it
there
is.
we go.
One of these days.
One of these days. I'll
Don't
get
you
it
write
right.
it down?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, are you
It's
reading
all off
it
the
and
cuff,
just-
baby.
No, I'm just winging it.
Dang.
I'm just winging it. So
Aren't we all?
there's all that. let's dig into MaXXXine, which I almost didn't see.
Oh man, it's such a bummer. As much as you
guys
at the teat of the draft house,
fillet
really
Alamo
dropped the ball.
Drafthouse weekly, I was like, so I'm in this place. So the only day I had to see that could go to a movie was July 4th because we weren't rehearsing that day, and so I also wanted to see it before I reviewed the movie on Friday afternoon on the radio. So I was looking online and like AMC, like normally if a movie opens on Friday, there's like a soft open on Thursday and it shows at like 7 and I was like, oh, I'll go on Thursday. It's not showing AMC on Thursday. And so I was like, I hopped over to Fandango because sometimes movies maybe will be playing at a non-AMC theater and I'll just pay out of pocket, gasp, to go see it. And so I see that it's at Alamo Drafthouse. And I'm like, well, you guys can't get Alamo Drafthouse out of your mouth. So I'll do that. So I they have an 11:40 showing on Thursday, July 4th. Perfect. And I was like, well, I guess this makes sense. It's an A24 movie, and Alamo Drafthouse is all about, we love movies so much, like, oh, we get movie boners. And so I was like, maybe they got a deal with A24, and they've got an exclusive day early thing to help the independent theaters while they're still independent.
It's not really independent anymore now.
Well, has that been finalized though? I haven't figured it hasn't been finalized.
No, probably not.
It's
That's
just
true.
announced. So it's a 30-minute drive from my house. So that's with no traffic. It was 30 minutes. And so,
but how far is Creve Coeur? 20 minutes? It's not like it's that much
it's
further
like
than
17.
Okay.
So, but that's
13
again,
minutes.
okay,
it's not like,
but I have to get on 40 in rush hour typically.
Yeah.
So it's like that would
And
not
have you
be
seen the size of Tom's bladder? That 13 minutes. Is
yeah, that makes a big difference. So like that would that 30-minute drive, there's no way you can guarantee me it's going to be 30 minutes when I'm going to see the 5 or 6 o'clock showing on Thursday, right?
It's a holiday though, at least. So I'm sure.
Yeah, no, that's why I was like,
yeah,
okay, this fits my schedule,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I'll try. So I get down there, and I walk up, and they're like, oh, this isn't showing.
Oh man,
I'm like, what now? And they're like, yeah, we canceled all those screenings. Like they're not happy. The movie doesn't open until tomorrow. So
that
I'm like,
sucks. That
so
sucks
just to repeat,
hard.
I'm like, just recap here. The movie theater that like loves movies so much, they get movie boners. Didn't know what day a movie opened, and you scheduled 4 showings of it on a day when it had not opened.
I wonder if they pulled a J-Lo and they didn't
and
sell.
Now how many movies I've sat in where I'm the only guy or
That's
there's
true.
2
That's
people
fair.
in it.
That's totally
like,
fair.
And it's like I bought it online, like so you could send out a notification that a screening had been canceled. You have everyone's information.
Right? I would presume though that if you didn't buy it through Fandango, you would have gotten the Alamo email that it canceled. I'm guessing because you went through Fandango, there was some connection that was lost there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, when you buy a ticket through Fandango, they don't send the theater your phone number. Like you're buying through
But
Fandango.
then Fandango should have got a notification.
Yeah,
that
I was
pushed
thinking the
it
same
to
thing.
me.
Fandango
But
should have
Fandango
gotten
should have
something.
sent you the
Yeah.
email. It's not Alamo. Fandango is the one brokering the ticket.
Yeah.
So you got to, I mean, it sucks that they cancel it. They shouldn't have messed up, but like the cancellation's on Fandango, not Alamo. Like the email, like, they're your point
I
of
don't know.
purchase.
All I know is I drove an hour round trip to not
Yeah.
see a movie.
That's a bummer for
Yeah,
sure.
That
and
does suck.
So I got these.
Here's
though.
the thing. We can't be all we can't be all up in Alamo's butt all the time. They're gonna
So
screw
they
up.
gave me these snack
Well,
passes.
that's nice. Those are
So,
$10 each.
Yeah, you can have those. I'll give Joe the other one.
Hey, all
because
right.
I won't be using them. So,
Really,
Well,
because of that,
look,
we'll
I
never
also-
go there again.
well, they expire in December, and
gotcha.
so like I don't know that I'll be going back before. I mean, I'm not saying I'll never go there, but I
Yeah.
certainly won't make any fucking attempt to go
Right.
there.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to like really
Right.
just fit my schedule. It's gonna have to be another situation like this, especially now. So I'm just like,
Yeah,
I'm
for
like,
sure.
I'll never use these. So.
It's not a Six Flags situation.
I mean, well, yeah, because I didn't almost get arrested. I was just like, I'm just gonna go.
it's
home
a shame though, because
watch Beverly
seriously,
Hills
I
Cop.
mean, I live where you live. I drive to Alamo every week to see a movie because seriously, it is that much better.
I wouldn't know.
I know,
I
I
have
know,
no
but
way
like,
of knowing.
but like, if I
Went all that
thought,
way, they weren't open.
but if I thought like, oh,
Parks closed. Moose out front should have told me.
Yeah.
Should have told you.
but I mean, I wouldn't do it every week if I didn't think it was worth it. And we live in the same area. It's a shame you didn't get to see it because it is everything about it. the seats, the screen, the projection, the sound. I mean, it's a better experience if you're going to the movies all the time. And
when
that's
they
a
choose
shame.
to let you attend.
Yeah.
Correct. When they
Well, it
when
sounds
they,
like-
when they allow you to see the movie.
Honestly, I mean, they made a mistake, which sucks. There's no denying that. But again, I think that's just a weird scenario where a third party sold you the ticket, and if they canceled the ticket, they should have told Fandango, and Fandango should have sent an email out saying this is canceled.
But also, like, why did they ever schedule these movies?
I think they
should-
figured it was a Friday
they sh-
release, Thursday movie, and I
they-
guess the holidays screwed it up.
But the other thing too is that they like normally those soft releases, it's like there's a showing at 7.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a showing at 5. If it's a really big movie, there might be one at 3. But I've never seen a Thursday release with an 11 a.m. showing, and so
That's
that
super
tells
early.
me they thought this movie just opened on Thursday. I don't know how else to.
Well, when there's a holiday, the movies usually do open
Yeah.
on the holiday, right?
Yeah,
so Friday.
I also think it's really dumb that this movie didn't open on Thursday.
Yeah, I don't. And
makes
again,
no
I
sense.
think they realize that with the 4th, I think probably 4th of July of all holidays, they're like, well, people do go to the lake or to watch fireworks or to what. Like, I think they realize that's probably a lower movie holiday.
And it didn't really.
I mean, not historically. I mean, July 4th. That's. Remember, Will Smith used to brag about owning July 4th weekend. That was Independence Day. That
for
was
blockbusters.
That
This
was
isn't
Men
a
in Black.
blockbuster.
Yeah.
Though. I think they just realized like. For a horror movie that's going to have a smaller audience, you already have a smaller audience, and then a lot of people have plans for blockbusters for sure. Yeah,
I don't know. I just
Did it
don't-
even open against anything?
Despicable Me.
Oh,
4.
Despicable Me.
I mean, I don't think there's a
Okay.
lot of people out there weighing which one to go
Yeah,
to.
which is good
Yeah.
counter programming, right? Like
Yeah.
you have at least you're going to either bring the kids to the movie or you're going to go see this.
So anyway, MaXXXine.
These movies are very interesting. This
For sure.
is what's that?
For sure.
They marveled it, right? So
How so?
Ty West made with
They
X
nut-
with
they
the
nutty
first one.
professored it.
I guess yeah, that's also true. He did 3 different genres of movies with this, in this X world, right? So the first one is absolutely a Texas Chainsaw Massacre inspired movie. The second one is definitely a Wizard of Oz inspired slasher movie, and this one, I think, maybe I'm wrong. This felt very giallo.
I mean, it had elements of that, but I think at the end of the day, it's an 80s B movie.
Absolutely
Horror
it is.
movie, right?
Yes,
And so
yes.
he's clearly inspired by giallo films with the lighting and the color and everything.
Well, even the not seeing the killer and then the 2
Well, right.
cops working the case. And
Yeah.
you've got all these different. So this is definitely, if you're going into this for kills, it is not what you think it's going to be, because I think there's only 3.
There's only a
you
few,
see.
but when you get the kills, I mean, and I guess not 3.5. I guess with the guy in the alley.
Oh my god!
I mean,
the
you see
dude
it.
sitting next to me lost his mind when she did what she did to that guy.
Okay, so I got an Alamo Drafthouse story, and it's
Okay.
a little bit brighter than Tom's Alamo Drafthouse story. So I get seated, theater is packed, it's sold out.
Oh, yeah,
Same.
let you see the movie.
Yeah, they
that's an interesting tweak on their business model.
Well,
Go on.
I will say they're probably 99.9995% in that favor. I think that you're the exception to the rule. But anyway,
My theater
so
was also packed.
yeah, so the theaters were packed because they canceled all those Thursday screenings.
Sure.
And they all had to fill in. So it's packed. I sit in the
The snack bar must have been packed because they all had those snack
free- yeah,
passes
those $10 coupons.
burning a hole in their
I know,
pocket.
you could have told me. I wish I would have picked one up. So anyway, I'm 3 rows back from the screen. No big deal, right? The seats recline. It's still a fine view. I wouldn't want to be like first row, but 3rd row's back. But anyway, so I have to sit next to other people because it's sold out. So these 2 older folks come in, like
Oh,
I would say
man.
60s. And they walk in, and I'm like, this doesn't seem like the crowd for 1, Alamo necessarily, and 2, a horror slasher gory movie. I'm like, this is interesting. Okay, maybe they just like these kind of movies, whatever. So they walk in, the waitress comes in,
They
and
were
she
they were
says,
in their 20s in the 80s. These movies were all the rage in the 80s.
maybe when they were in their 20s.
I'm
they
like,
enjoyed-
careful, I'll be 54 in
Yeah.
September.
No, these were definitely like into their 60s. Like they're older couple, and so and plus like not movie critics, right? Like they
Yeah.
were like for them to pick this movie, it's like, okay, that's interesting, but fair enough, right? I'm game to see like how they react to it because I heard it's ultra gory. Waitress comes in, she says, "Have you ever been here before?" No. I'm like, okay. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
like if they picked this movie and it's their first trip to the Alamo, they picked the only thing that they thought sounded interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so they say
they could have
no.
gone to see. They're playing Body Double tonight, which I think is very influential on this movie.
It is, yeah. So you should tell them that. So anyway, so I'm like, okay, this will be interesting. So then the recap for X and Pearl comes on with all the nudity and violence, and like Alamo does this recap. It is a shame that
It's a great recap
because they almost do like what we do for movies. They actually went plot point by plot point for all the other two.
Yeah.
So you get to like see a little mini Pearl.
Well, yeah, they
recap.
start with Pearl.
Oh,
go
mini
through X,
Pearl
and then-
with the little price tag hanging off her hat.
That's exactly who it is. Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're recapping it, and they recap.
Howdy.
They recap each kill in their recap. Show it to you. The
Right.
violence, the gore.
Yeah.
And their reactions to these kills. And I'm like, what do you think you're about to see? So they basically haven't seen the other two movies.
Right.
Oh my
Don't know this
God.
movie's ultra gory, but their reaction is, oh, like you can hear the lady next to me is wincing, and they're like, oh, that was brutal, they said at one point. So I'm like, do I tell them they've already ordered food, they've already ordered drinks, so they've spent $40-$50 or whatever. Like if you leave at this point, you're out a lot, right? So I don't say anything, but I go, this is going to be interesting. So we watch the recap, we get all their crazy reactions, and in the alley, who was it, Buster Keaton, or who was the guy?
It's the projectionist.
Yeah, she calls him Buster, so I'm assuming it's supposed to be Buster Keaton.
Right, it looked
I
like
was
it.
like, is this Buster Keaton or Harold Lloyd? But
Okay.
yeah, it's
so
Buster Keaton.
so when this scene happens, you can just hear them both like gasp. It is just like this reaction from them, and they're like, "Oh, that was a lot." They go, "That was a lot," and I just
even know.
But they never left, and I don't know if it's because they were so committed to the food bill or what. But
that's great.
I just thought it was interesting because I had, I don't want to judge a book by its cover, but when they come in, I'm like, "What's up with this?" And then they stuck through it. I was gonna.
Had to. We should have had him on as guests.
It would have been
man,
interesting
that would have been
to hear
good.
because each time they were just like, so.
It's crazy that even so, X is the one that has like the most over the top kills, right? You've got Kid Cudi getting his chest blown out with a shotgun. You've got who's the gal who was in Pitch Perfect, the blonde, she's in
The blonde,
X. Yeah. Getting chomped on by an alligator. You've got
Pearl. She dismembers people, and you see the limbs and stuff.
Pearl
Like
dismembers
Pearl's pretty.
Mitzi. And then
Pearl's
she's
pretty violent.
But there's only like two. There's like two kills in Pearl. In X, it's like, oh, everybody is cannon fodder. Like it's
Pearl's
very,
got the maggots all over a pig and
She
stuff.
does.
Like, oh,
She
man,
kills
it's-
Superman in that movie.
Who was?
David Cornsweet is the projectionist.
Oh, was he the projectionist?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And gets a pitchfork through the mouth.
Yep.
So this is MaXXXine. This is Mia Goth's first character because she does play Pearl in both X, old lady Pearl and regular Pearl.
I think we should mention the way the timeline jumps around. Can you guys think of another trilogy that does that, where a movie starts up and then the second movie is a prequel to the first one, and then the third one picks up
Star
as a
Wars.
sequel to the first one? No, but they've never. This is a really interesting way of storytelling in the way that they all weave, like the characters weave throughout all three of them. Usually a trilogy is one
Indiana Jones.
with like a flashback in it.
Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's fair.
It does?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, it
Really?
takes place like 5 years before Raiders of the Lost
Bingo.
Ark.
You're 100%
Yeah.
right. Because I was trying to think. I'm like, who else?
Because
has
I was
done-
sitting there, I'm like, no, there's a really
There is-
big
yeah,
one that
yep,
does
yep.
that.
That's interesting. I wonder why they do
But it
that.
doesn't have the same vibe.
Because in
I
Temple
mean,
of
for obvious reasons, but also from a timeline structure standpoint, it doesn't have the same vibe as, like he's not playing a different character.
Sure.
or something.
And I think that's how they kind of explain away like what happened to Marion
Yeah.
and stuff, because it's like you're gonna
Oh.
ask at the end of that, like, well, why isn't she in this one? But it takes
Right.
place before, so you don't
Well,
have
they
to.
they can't get away from Marion because in the next two she's in both of them.
Well,
she's in Crystal Skull and
right?
whatever
she's
the
not
But
last-
going
in-
forward, that would make
But
sense.
she's not in.
She's not in Temple of no. She's not.
No, Last Crusade.
Last
there we
Crusade.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. So we should say that Mia Goth is. I got to tell you, I think she might be one of the new. I don't want her to get like pigeonholed into this because I think she's a pretty fantastic actress.
I think she's
But
great.
she is very much the next generation Scream Queen.
Yeah.
I think these three movies have kind of cemented her not only as an actress, as a character, but also as someone who she helped. I think she helped write Pearl, maybe.
Mhm.
Like Pearl came about after X when they were Mia Goth plays both MaXXXine and Pearl in that movie. She plays a dual role. I think while that was filming, they were like, hey, we've got all this stuff left. Like, we've got all these sets. Let's just, I think Mia Goth and Ty West kind of came up with the idea of let's do a throwback, a Wizard of Oz style slasher movie, and just tell Pearl's story from the 1920s or the 1950s.
Because they use the same house.
It's the same
house,
set. It's all the same stuff.
Where they're filming in X with the old man and where Pearl lives, that farmhouse, it's the same thing. So they flash back and can use that set for this prequel. And it's a smart move if you've got it all right, like tell another story, make another movie.
And you've got some cash. These movies don't probably, horror movies with A24, I'm sure probably do not even have the budget that Blumhouse does.
They're like four. Now this one I'm guessing is a little higher, but the other ones had
be higher.
The other ones had like a $4 million budget.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just nothing to them, and they're opening to tens of millions of dollars.
Right. Which is, I don't want A24 to jump on the Blumhouse bandwagon
and start giving bigger budgets and then getting to
correct.
Yeah,
correct.
I agree. But this one looks like it has a budget to it. I mean,
you don't want a Hereditary reboot with Scarlett Johansson,
right? But it shows though, right? So like this one clearly has the biggest budget, and
this one looks great. I love the look of this movie so much.
This movie looks like an '80s movie. Like I'll tell you, Ty West really knows how to get the look down because like X looked like a '70s movie. This looks like an '80s movie. Pearl looked like an old throwback movie. They all have a look and feel to where you don't go like, oh, that's a new movie trying to look old. Like it looks appropriate to the time period.
Yes, and I do think
if you saw this with no knowledge of where it came from.
Yeah.
Like I get
the sets were great.
Yeah.
Everything, the camera,
it's
like the
grimy,
film grain,
like LA is the whole LA at night in like I don't even know what district that would be, but like it looks grimy. Like the whole thing looks, dirty and gross.
Yeah. It's Hollywood. This is like a throwback to the Hollywood, like, those movies where like murder mysteries and trying to solve.
Oh, yeah. Body Double is a great example.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And more modern, Under the Silver Lake kind of is a throwback to those movies and De Palma movies. And so this is another one of those. And yeah, looks great. And Mia Goth, like you said, I think she's phenomenal. It's a shame Tom hasn't seen Pearl because she has a monologue in Pearl, which is Oscar worthy. Like she should have been nominated. And of course it's a horror movie, so they wouldn't, but her monologue is so good. Like she's a legit amazing actress.
Yes.
And I mean, I saw X and was just like, okay.
Her role in that is so small.
Yeah.
Everything I've read is that Pearl is the best of the three.
The performance is her performance.
Because I left this one and was just like, okay. Yeah. Like it did not do much for me.
Yeah, this is the weakest of the trilogy, I would say. Like I had fun with it, but I do think this is a weaker film, and I don't know if that's because he's maybe trying to do more with it. Like it's trying to have this mystery to it, and so instead of being more of a straightforward horror movie or just following around Pearl and in the movie Pearl, like one character and really focusing on her, he's trying to do so much, and there's so many threads and characters that I think that it kind of loses its way, especially in the third act. Like
it is now that now that we're talking about it, this is Body Double. Like
it was a huge inspiration for sure.
Massively. I think if you haven't seen Body Double, I cannot recommend that enough. Body Double.
It's out of print. Hard to find.
Yeah, you've still got one, don't you?
I've still got one. Joe never bought it. It's probably gone way up in value now.
I'll give you $20.
It'd give me $120. That's so when they did the Blu-ray release, it was a limited because the DVD was way out of print. Yeah. I have a DVD of it actually. I could get you for cheap.
I don't want that.
You don't still watch DVDs?
No. Not if there's a Blu-ray available.
Okay, well,
it's got more special features on it.
But anyway, so they reprinted a very limited Blu-ray of it, and I picked up a few. I think I sold one to Dan, gave one to Dan because he was into that movie, and I figured I would hold on to one. And so,
if you haven't seen
Voodoo.
Oh, do you have it on digital?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if it's still available because a lot of times movies, like I've seen movies that become unavailable on digital, but if you bought it, you still have it.
It was a weird rights holder thing, and so that's why it went out of print, and then they finally got a very limited rights to it, and I don't know. But yeah, if you haven't seen Body Double, it's excellent.
Well, I think any of those early De Palma ones, right? Mm-hmm. Body Double, is it Hard to Kill? Dress to Kill.
Blowout
is fantastic.
That's another Hollywood. Yeah. I mean, he's a
Blowout
sound mixer.
Is amazing.
Dude, that movie's so good.
It's
so good.
So good. So he is De Palma is definitely influenced by Hitchcock, but also had like that 80s horror gore 80s slasher twist to his stuff, and this is very much in that world.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so inspired by Hitchcock that they go to the set of Psycho, right? Like
that is
I don't
one
know
of my favorites. There's two great
is that
lines
from
in
Bates
this-
Motel? Is that what the set would be from now?
I don't know that they ever tore it down.
Oh, it
Yeah, it's
was
still
Bates
there.
Motel
That's-
from Psycho?
That's the Psycho house.
Yeah,
Like
because
original.
like it was a like you could see it on the
Tour,
Universal
right.
tour, so
Okay.
I don't think it ever went away. It was funny because as soon as they pulled up, and I was just like,
I knew
are they
exactly
just-
what it was.
I was like, are they just recycling the hotel from Psycho? And then they're like, oh,
What's
we're
the
on the set
hotel
of
from
Psycho.
Psycho, right?
Oh, okay.
No, that's
It's-
cool.
it's- Go ahead, Kevin.
It makes sense. I just, you know how sometimes as, time goes by and then, well, not Casablanca, but you know what I mean? As time goes on and movies get older and they start saying like, well, we could use this part on the lot for, like these studios don't care as much about history as they used to. And like,
No.
look at WB, for example. And so I wasn't sure if they at some point got rid of it and then they're like, oh, let's film Bates Motel and rebuilt it.
Right.
But that's cool if that's the original.
No,
from
because I
the-
mean, I
it's a great-
remember in the 80s, like you could go and see
Yeah.
the Psycho house on the Universal tour. Now, perhaps it was the one that they built for
Yeah.
Psycho 2, but
I'm guessing it's the original.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking of too is I'm thinking of was it Hollywood Studios had a Bates Motel recreation.
Hollywood Studios had a Bates
and they
Motel
tore
that
it down.
Norman was like in front of. Like
they
if
had-
you went
but
there,
they had
if you
the
went on
house.
Halloween, you could see Norman like at the
Yeah.
on the front steps or something.
Yeah, I think I was thinking they got rid of that one, but,
But
yeah,
it's-
but
when
clearly
she
it's
when
a
she
huge
rounds
insp-
when she rounds that corner,
yeah.
and I can see, and I think if you haven't seen Psycho 2 and 3, you are missing out.
I
they're
they
not
are
awful. I mean, are
amazing.
they
I thought they were good.
But are they at the level of Hitchcock? No.
No, but like when we watched,
they're not
those,
awful.
Me and Joe enjoyed
so
those
good.
Yeah.
immensely. Like I could not believe watching those how good they were. And the director of next week's movie
That's right.
is Anthony Perkins' son,
Yeah.
Oz Perkins.
Oz
How about that?
Perkins doing long legs. When they round that corner and I see that first bank of doors, and I was like, oh, that looks just like the Bates Motel. And then they do the pan out. I was like, God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
My favorite part, though, is when MaXXXine is being chased by Kevin Bacon.
Mhm.
And she's running through the sets, and she runs out this door. And I was like, that's so weird. That looks like the clock tower.
Yeah.
And then she runs down into the town square of Hill
Yeah.
Valley,
Yeah.
and she's running through Hill Valley.
Yeah. Like clearly they're on the Universal lot.
They're
Yeah.
absolutely
Like-
on. But
And
I
that's
was
a
like,
tour you can take if you're in California. I've taken it.
I would love
and,
to.
I would
And,
love to do that so much.
And yeah, like they show you the clock tower, and now they recycle it all the time.
They do,
and they
yeah.
just change its appearance. So like it might not necessarily look like the clock tower when you're there. I was really bummed because when we were on this Universal backlot tour, they had it dressed up for a show that we had not watched yet. So we didn't really take pictures in the way we would have, but we were on the set. We were in the good place.
Yeah.
Like we
Oh, that's
like
fun.
we were like all the storefronts, but like we hadn't started watching the show yet. And so like we were just like, "Oh yeah, that's that new show that's on NBC." But like we weren't like, "Oh my god, we're in front of good plates."
We're in front of the good
right?
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That's fun.
yeah.
The other thing that I did before I forget is there's a line that Kevin Bacon has where Kevin Bacon plays like this PI who was sent to LA to track down MaXXXine for someone.
Chinatown. Talk about references.
Very
Yeah.
much so. But he also says, man, the line is like, I look at us playing chicken. And I was like, that is a deep cut for Footloose that I cannot believe they
That's
worked into
hilarious.
this
Oh,
movie.
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think of it
It's
either,
like
but now
a
that you
whole-
say it, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But also, he's Arbogast too from
He
Psycho.
absolutely is Arbogast.
It's
So-
the same suit and the nose bandage.
Right.
And
So I mean, it's Arbogast and Jack Nicholson in Chinatown. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Plot
So-
of this movie.
Yes. So this one, MaXXXine has moved to LA. She is working in porn. She's working as a stripper, trying to get her name out there. She has this audition.
But she's
for
famous
this-
in the adult industry, right? Since
She
X,
is.
she's done very well.
She's like, man, my head. I'm trying to think of like a '70s porn actress. Nina Hartley is the first one that comes to mind.
well, they
Where,
even
like,
reference her, don't they?
Marilyn Chambers. I think
Marilyn
they reference.
Chambers is the right. That's
I know
they-
he's watching that movie you guys talk about
Behind the green door.
Yeah.
Yes, I
He's
thought it was
watching the
great.
video store. She lives
Um,
above a video store.
A porn video store.
I didn't think it was a porn. I thought they had a section. Like,
yeah, I took it as they had they had a
I thought it
porn
was-
section, but
remember,
that was
because
not.
he's like, I don't do that anymore. When the guy
Yeah.
shows up, it's not. I figured like the place.
Well, that's
isn't as
because that
skeevy
guy
as
was trying to get a little.
But I feel like the place is kind of like he wanted to go to like upscale
Yeah.
80s video score, right?
There's
It's
a
not
whole section that just says homemade, and I was like, nope, I'm not renting that. Well, maybe I will. That'd be kind of interesting to see. So yeah, she lives there, and she goes for this.
He doesn't know that he's about 18 months from being ran out of business.
That's right. That's totally right. Elizabeth Debicki, is that her name?
Debicki
Debicki plays this director who has directed The Puritan, which is this horror flick that gained a lot of popularity given the subject matter.
It's like a cult movie that is beloved,
Yeah, it's like a nunsploitation movie, which is a whole thing.
which is like half of the horror movies that come out now. And I'm
It is-
like, I'm done with these nun horror movies.
Yeah, well, we get The Nun. We had
Not interesting.
Immaculate. We had what was The First Omen. Like you had
I'm
like
done
back to
with
back
these,
to back.
Yeah.
I will say Immaculate and The First Omen, insanely good movies.
There you go.
So she tries out for this, and she does what MaXXXine is an insanely good actress.
Mhm.
She gives a performance, and I think they did this in Pearl, where she gives this quick little monologue down the barrel of the camera.
But it's a different character.
It
You
is
got
a
to
different
remember, for
character.
people who
Yes,
haven't
it
seen
is.
it, Pearl is giving the monologue, and Mia Goth plays both of these characters.
Correct. I guess I should
Maxine
say
and
Mia
Pearl.
Goth gives a performance
There you go.
again. Down the barrel of the camera, gives a very intense performance.
Cries on command, like she's
Right.
yeah.
And then as soon as they say cut, she snaps out of it and says, thank you. And I do like the line where the other casting producer's like, okay, can we see your boobs, please?
Yeah,
And she was like,
wasn't that
"Yeah,
hilarious? Like when it
yes."
comes down to like that was
Yeah.
great, but let me see your cans.
Yeah.
But
She's
it
like,
just
fine.
but it shows you how good
It's
of an
what I had to do when I auditioned for the play.
oh, I thought you were gonna say for the
Pulled his
clip out.
balls out.
But it shows you how good of an actress that Mia Goth is, and it's interesting because when you see this stuff happening, like movie within a movie type stuff, it's like, yes, she's an actor playing a character who's auditioning, but she's still having to really do that. Like that audition scene
Yeah.
is still an actor acting. Like you kind of lose yourself and forget about it when she's that good, where she's like crying on command and then she snaps out of it, but she's 2 layers deep, right? She's an actor playing an actor who has to then snap in and out
It's
of
very
a reading.
Inception-esque.
It is, and yeah, and so I don't know. I think it's pretty talented the way that she does it, and I don't know. At least to me, I don't think about it as like, oh, that's Mia Goth. It's like, you know,
No,
what I mean?
think she
She's-
gives an
she's in
incredible
it.
performance in this
Yeah.
one as well.
She establishes that she's really good at acting when her face is wet.
Yeah,
We should also say that this movie is taking place in Los Angeles during the 80s, during like the Satanic Panic, which was a massive thing. And then during the time when the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, was fully active. There's a doc on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it is a 4 or 5 episode doc about Richard Ramirez, the chase to get him, and how he how he ends up getting caught. It's enthralling. It's insanely good. My fear, though, going into this is they keep mentioning the Night Stalker in the trailers, and I was like, if this comes down to MaXXXine versus the Night Stalker, I have no interest in that. Like, I don't want to see MaXXXine going up against a Wolfman or whatever. Like, I don't know where the story is going, because I watched that doc. Richard Ramirez is a scumbag, and he was gross. Like, physically, he was just a very disgusting man. So when we see in the trailers, we see the guy with the leather gloves and the big coat. I was like, well, that's not the Night Stalker. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
So-
I was wondering if they were going to fictionalize who the Night Stalker was or something. And I
Or
just
she was
like,
the Night
that's-
Stalker.
But-
right, or like retcon it to. I don't know, it's like, that would be weird.
Did I read that wrong? I thought that's what they did. We're saying that these two things are unrelated. I
Yeah,
thought in
the-
the end they arrested him when or not arrested him, but she takes him out. I thought he was the Night Stalker because he was
Well, no.
kidnapping the girls.
No, because
No,
they show real
cop-
footage of Richard Ramirez being
and the
arrested.
cops say flat out that these murders they're covering are mimicking the Night
Okay, got
Stalker,
it.
but
Okay.
they know it's not the Night Stalker,
Got
although they never say why they know it's not the Night Stalker.
Okay.
I
because
don't
he doesn't
believe-
leave marks. That's how they. I mean, that's how they know. In real life, Richard Ramirez did not leave marks on people.
So
Like
this
the-
was
like
a
the-
copycat essentially of the Night Stalker.
Yeah, he was piggybacking off the guy.
Well, I'll tell you what I didn't like. But again, I think this movie fizzles out in the third act, and I think it's because they set it up from the beginning. When they open this movie, and the opening scene is of her as a little girl, but they make the dad so like, you know, so mean and cruel and pushing her and everything like that. I'm just like,
at no point in the film did I not think the guy with the gloves was the dad.
yeah, that's why
It
when you get the reveal, you go like, yeah, that
You're like,
seemed
yes.
like what they were.
Yes,
and,
I know.
And that's the problem is
Right.
like, if they want to have a mystery, you have to make it, I think, like a real good mystery.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even opened with that part because
I
it
mean,
just made me
ultimate-
think of the dad the whole
Right.
time.
And there are, just from a narrative construct standpoint, there are no other characters
Yeah, they're
to,
all dead.
to suspect. Like, unless the reveal is
Elizabeth Debicki, I
unless
thought
like
could have been.
surprise it's a total stranger. I'm
No,
like,
but Elizabeth Debicki is kind of like mean, and she's this director, and maybe she's trying to do something to influence her horror movie. Like, you could have made any of these characters the killer. Like, I mean, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So when they introduced it with that, the whole movie, I'm just thinking like, why are they even mentioning this if the dad's not going to come in?
But also
somewhere here,
the weird part is in X.
spoilers,
so
by
that's
the way, if
set
you
in-
haven't picked up on
Yeah,
it.
sorry. X is set in 1979, and I feel like, if I remember right, the preacher that is on the TV is an old man. Like, he's an older man.
Mhm.
So when we see him in 1980, whatever this is,
5 or 6. It
85.
flashes.
85.
5.
It's
Okay.
85.
he should be an older man, and he looks younger.
I don't know. I mean, he still looked old to me. I get what you're saying. Like, maybe it doesn't line up.
If he looks like an old man in 79, he
Right.
needs to at least have that look. Like, this guy had
6 years. 6 years
Yeah,
isn't
but
that much.
this guy was tan.
I think he's
He
saying
had-
that this guy looks younger than he did
Yeah.
in Pearl. And
Yes.
so like he should at the very least look as old as he
Yeah.
did in Pearl.
I'm guessing.
He's in LA, you know.
Yeah,
He's
that's
getting
true,
the-
though. He is in L.A.
He's getting
That's
the tanning
fair.
booths.
He's
He's
getting-
getting, they don't have Botox yet, but he's getting the
I'm guessing that when they made X, they didn't know that
They definitely did not know
and
they were going
that it
this
would
far.
take off this much and turn into a pretty successful trilogy, and that they would then come back and make the dad the killer. So I'm
Right.
guessing that got retconned, and that's where the age thing comes in and all that stuff.
That's probably
But-
true.
But anyway, I
So-
just didn't, it fizzled out for me because I'm like, yeah, I mean, that wasn't that much of a mystery. You know what I mean?
didn't
It just,
know-
I wish it
I
was
didn't
building
think about
something-
it, but then when the reveal happens, you're just like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a a Stu Macher reveal.
So the point is, the Night Stalker's out there, and now all these women in the adult industry, the porn actors, the strippers, the people that are in Maxine's circle, they start getting killed.
Correct.
Oh, and a
Maxine-
guy gets his balls crushed in an alley.
Right. So,
Also.
oh my god. So yeah,
That's
initially
another red herring.
we see one of Maxine's coworkers talks about she's going to this party up in the hills. Do you want to go with me? And she was like, no, I'm not going. And that's the last time we see this woman. Maxine is walking home from work, and we see a guy, the silhouette of a guy who does kind of resemble Richard Ramirez, corner Maxine in an alley. Also, walking down alleys in L.A. in the 80s seems like a terrible idea, just in
Now,
general.
she is armed. She's kind
She
of
is
a
armed,
badass.
that's true.
So I guess she
I
doesn't.
feel like she was wanting that to happen.
She
I
was
don't mean
looking for
that.
a
I don't mean
confrontation.
that in a like, look how you're dressed.
No.
But like she had a gun. She was prepared
yes.
to kill
Yes,
a bitch.
she was not
like,
worried about
like,
it.
yeah, she wanted to lure in a weirdo so she could.
She
do
also
damage. Yeah.
she murdered. Oh, I guess she only killed one person in X. She didn't. Yeah, she definitely killed Pearl,
Yeah.
but I don't think she killed anybody else.
But I mean, the whole thing with X is she's defending herself. She's not looking
Correct.
to show up and murder people. You don't call it murder when it's self.
That is one of my favorite kills in movies in general. When
Yeah.
Pearl fires the shotgun and it catapults
Blows her
out
back.
the door.
Yeah.
That was a great. That's so good.
So the silhouette of the killer that we keep seeing, and again, the Night Stalker thing's going on, so you're wondering, is the killer the Night Stalker at this point? But the silhouette is always someone that looks kind of like a trench coat and a hat, like a
Yeah,
like a not fedora, whatever
it's
you would
very,
call that, like
that's
a
very Giallo inspired.
yeah,
With the leather gloves that are a little too
like a Dick
tight.
Tracy hat, like
Yeah,
a
excellent
overcoat.
call, yeah.
yeah. So you see this guy in the alley, but he's actually dressed up as Buster Keaton because L.A. is kind of like, you see him in Times Square. It's like people dressed up as
Yeah,
actors
you got
doing
there's like
there's-
a Wonder Woman.
There's
like
characters that do that outside of Grauman's Chinese Theater, similar to
Yeah.
Times Square.
and it looks
Yeah.
like she might live close to there.
She must.
Yeah. So he,
Yeah, 'cause
she,
that's right next to what's the famous place in LA where all the homeless people are? Like it's
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can want to say Tin Pan Alley, but that's not it. But
It's kind of grimy in that.
Yeah.
Especially in the 80s, too. This is
yeah,
like not
it's
clean.
still not great. Like
Yeah.
it's like right next to, because when we went there, it's like whenever I see people like getting down and like posing with like the stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I'm just like, that whole place smelled like pee when we were there.
Don't veer too far off the
Yeah, I'm
sidewalk
just
is
like,
what you're saying.
I'm like, no way am I like laying down next to these stars.
There's a moment in this, and I couldn't figure out who the star was, where they actively focus on a star, and she stomps on a cigarette.
I don't know. There must be a significance.
There has to be a story.
I couldn't tell either. It's got
I
to be a
meant to
horror
look that up
person
after we
or
left, but I
something.
could
Yeah.
not remember who it was.
All right, so
yeah,
Buster Keaton corners her in the alleyway with a knife.
Correct. She pulls a
out gun.
pistol, and she basically says, "Strip, get on your knees," and then the great line, "On your stomach, ass up."
Yeah.
And he lays down, and she takes the heel of her heel and
Of her high heels, yeah.
obliterates his balls, and you
you
see it, and it like her heel goes like into his ball sack and like twists.
I think she stomps his penis. Is like,
I thought it was his
some
balls.
mush.
I guess
well,
it's all
his balls are
together.
in there, but I think it's like flat, and she stomps it. I think it like exploded his penis
and
on
it
the pavement.
is in frame.
Right. And
The
that's
whole
when the
thing.
people next to me were just like, I think that's when they said that was a lot.
Lady, you don't
Oh
even know
my
what's
gosh!
coming.
I'm like, what do you think you're doing here? I was because I was keeping track. So I'm like, I'll let them know when they left, and they never left. So good for them.
Okay. Now we've
Skid
got
Row.
Kevin.
Skid Row. There you
Yeah,
go.
I'm like, I
Skid
know
Row.
it's like it's
Down
super
on Skid Row. There
Yeah,
you
like
go.
it's super famous. Like I
Yeah.
felt dumb that I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, Sebastian Bach's real mad that you couldn't remember. So now we're introduced to Kevin Bacon, and Kevin Bacon plays who I know in our Patreon thread that I said that Kevin Bacon should be the new Freddy Krueger, and everybody was like, the two of you were like, prove it, and I was like, well, here's your proof, because he is creepy as F in this. He's great.
I like that they told Kevin Bacon, "You're in a B movie, right?" And he's
And
like,
own it.
Mission accomplished."
He's like,
Yes.
I've done those.
Yeah. And that's the only thing that I think there's a little bit of discrepancy between his performance in this film, only because I think Ty West is such a good filmmaker that I think he's making a B movie, but it looks so good and the performances are so good that Kevin Bacon's performance seems a little out there in a movie that's like he's making a B movie that is too good to be a B movie.
Yeah.
But the tone and everything, the story's a B movie, and Kevin Bacon's going full B movie.
He is full
So
B
it just
movie.
kind of sticks out because you've got Mia Goth who gives these Oscar level performances, and then you've got like, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of a something there. I mean, he's fun. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's
It
just
is-
that when he
he-
starts doing his thing, I'm like, wow, that is a lot.
What is funny is there's a scene where Mia Goth or MaXXXine is in the porn shop, and she's talking to her buddy, and she's like, name actresses that got their start in horror movies, and they reference Kevin Bacon because Kevin Bacon is in the first Friday the 13th
Yeah.
and has a fantastic kill in that movie. But I did think that's funny that they reference him in this movie.
She wants to be a real star, and she's like, I'm gonna be the next one. And he's like, but they weren't porn actors. And she's like, so it doesn't matter.
She mentions something, and
Well, Brooke
Marilyn,
Shields,
they
right?
mentioned Marilyn Chambers, but then she brings up Brooke Shields, which I gotta find. I don't know what movie that is. I gotta find a movie.
Blue
a horror
Lagoon.
movie with Brooke Shields in it.
Blue Lagoon. She's talking about Blue Lagoon.
That's not a horror movie.
Was she? No, I think she was. I thought they were saying about how they didn't start in porn, and they made a comment about Brooke Shields getting naked.
Oh, I thought they were
and-
saying that like who got their career started in horror.
I think they did say
'Cause
that
it's like
as
they
well.
they had that
Yeah.
conversation as well. But when they were talking about Brooke Shields, I heard it as like, well, she's gotten naked, and people and they don't
Oh.
relegate her to just making those
I think
kind
so.
of movies.
I think so
Okay,
too.
okay,
And
that makes.
I
that
liked
makes
her
sense.
friend that owned or operated the
Yeah.
horror shop.
Although, as we now know, after our
No,
pandemic
I don't want to
episodes,
talk about it.
Brooke Shields
No.
was not actually naked. Those were body doubles.
Oh, right,
Correct.
right.
Like
Correct.
we were
Because
not
she
going
was
to
a
go to
child.
jail
Okay,
for
that's
having
right.
watched Blue Lagoon, which we were all
Too
wondering.
close. I don't even want to bring it up. So Moses Sumney plays Leon, her like best friend that operates the video store. I really liked him. I thought he was
He's
fun.
very good. I like
just
him
the
a lot.
way that he was like so nonchalant and kind of like brushing her off. He's like, all right, whatever, Maxine. Like he was a fun character.
I think I like the line where he's like, the only reason you like me is because I'm the only man not trying to.
Right? Yeah,
I was
he
like,
says that
"Oh,
under his breath as she walks away. Right?
Right.
So we see that not only does she do adult movies, but she works in this like strip club kind of thing where you put a coin in and
Yeah, it's a
the
peep
window
show.
goes up. Yeah, the peep show. And the killer's watching her, but in retrospect, I'm like, how long did you stick around for that show?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he broke
mean-
the thing and was mad, but I'm like, why are you even in there watching that?
I think, well, I think that
I know
there's
it's a
something
little-
to be said about why he is after his daughter. I think he's a creep, and watching her strip, it makes him even creepier.
He's definitely a creep. But I mean, and I get that like they're showing like he's mad about it, so that kind of makes sense. But I'm like, I hope he left right after that. Like, okay,
Yeah,
I got
I
my
gotta go.
confirmation. She's doing stuff I'm not okay with. I'm out of here.
Right.
Ugh.
While her career is about, so she does not get the role in a music video, but she does get the role in the Puritan 2. So the director kind of says, look, I had to fight for you. They didn't want you. They thought it was too controversial to have a porn actress. She's like,
I
which
love
think
that,
is
too.
which I think is
Yeah.
hilarious that they're worried about a porn actress in our nunsploitation horror movie.
Yeah.
That's too controversial. While all of this is going on, Kevin Bacon has shown up, and what we find out is that the whole movie, the farmer's daughter that they film in X, has been shelved. It's been hidden. It's been not destroyed, but it's
It
gone.
had police evidence on the tape, I think.
They
And then
did,
somehow
you're
they
right.
got a copy out of
Well, the
police
police,
log.
yeah, because at the end of X, we see the police picking up the video camera
Mm-hmm.
with everything on it, and Kevin Bacon kind of alludes that like either you're going to play ball or we're going to release this tape. And I didn't even think about it. It sounds like the theory is that Mia Goth, MaXXXine, killed everyone in Texas, and it just kind of went away because there are no survivors. She was the only survivor
Right.
from X.
I think it just brings up controversy, right? Like if they thought she did it, she'd be in jail, or would she
Well,
be
because they have that
questioned? I
meeting
mean,
at the hotel where she's like, if there was evidence that I killed some people, like it doesn't exist.
right? But she's getting a real role in Hollywood. She's already a porn actor that is trying to fight through and be taken seriously and get this job. But if now this video surfaces, this,
Right.
revolving a bunch of real life murders, it's going to look really bad. So I don't think it's like here's the evidence to lock you up, but it's like your career will be over.
Correct.
You-
And she
before it
will
starts.
not let that happen.
Right.
And she's like, if
so
I
the-
killed somebody, I'm not going to keep booking work. What am I, John Landis?
Oh,
Did he direct that new Beverly Hills movie?
No.
No,
No.
because I don't think Eddie Murphy was ever going to work with him again.
Yeah,
I thought they did make up.
I think they made
Right?
up. They made up. I feel like they worked on something
They said,
together.
yeah, they did.
But
Vampire
yeah,
in
like I know.
Brooklyn?
Well, no,
Maybe,
that's the
or-
movie where they had their falling out.
Okay.
But they
believe.
made up at some point. I'm
Yeah.
almost positive.
MaXXXine is trying to like, play both these things at the same time and keep everything on the up and up. At the same time, another friend of hers, Halsey, who is a musical performer, gives her the same spiel. They're leaving. I guess it was like a club, and she's saying, "I'm going to this party in the hills. Do you want to go with me?" And she was like, "No, I don't want to go. I have to be up early." We
This
find
one was
that,
the Peep Show.
Oh, you're right. It was
she
the Peep
one
Show.
that
And now we've got Michelle Monaghan and Bobby Cannavale
Mhm.
as these two LA cops, and they're investigating these murders. They find these two bodies. So the two friends that we have seen already have popped up in the lake, and they have like markings on them.
MaXXXine is the common thread, right? So
Correct.
it's like she knows all these people that keep dying.
Right. And then we flash forward a little bit, and somebody comes into the porn shop, and
The video store, remember, it's an upscale video rental establishment.
I stand by what I
with
said.
a porn section.
And ends up in a pretty not gruesome, but like in a very giallo kind of way. They kill
Yes.
the best friend, and I
The
think
whole
this is
gloves thing is very giallo.
and seeing it from like the knife's point of view.
Yeah.
right. Like that's all, and the blood splatter everywhere.
and the lighting in the movie,
the
like
very neon lights and all that.
and
stuff
the blood,
is very
the blood splatter is bright red, which is how in those films, the colors are very
Saturated?
Thank you. They're
Yeah.
like oversaturated. It's bright red. They're not even trying to make it look necessarily
They
realistic.
she references that when they're filming a scene for the Puritan 2, where she's like, "This isn't a Hammer film," and if
Yeah.
you haven't seen those are very great, like Universal monster. But the blood is very red. It's like bright red.
Yeah. But he gets like slashed in the back of his neck and then down his face and his throat, and they really
Yeah, they
it's
go all
gory.
in.
The next day, there's a crowd around the video shop, and she wakes up to all this commotion, and she goes downstairs and out in the crowd, and then they're wheeling out a body, and then
This
the
is
detective,
a great move by Michelle Monaghan's character.
Yeah,
where
she
she
pulls-
sees
her reaction.
MaXXXine, and she pulls the cover back so that MaXXXine can see the face of her best friend
Yeah.
and gets a reaction.
But she wants to see how she reacts, right? Like
Right.
probably if she's cold to it or something, then she would know that like, she's trying to get a read on her, but she freaks out and runs towards the body. And I think that kind of gives them the idea, that's at least how I took it, that they're like, okay, she's upset. It was a realistic reaction. Like, she's so upset seeing her friend that she didn't know about it.
Correct.
So,
And
they bring her to the station.
And
questioning.
MaXXXine stonewalls the cops. I do like that the Bobby Cannavale character
is a failed Torres. He's a failed actor, so he's trying to like
hitting
put
her with
on
like monologues. And Michelle Monaghan's like, "What are you doing? Like, you're just ruining." And MaXXXine stonewalls them. She's not giving them any information. Michelle Monaghan kind of runs after her, and she's like, "We need your help." She's like, "Well, maybe they should do what I did and help themselves." And that's kind of the first reference that MaXXXine gives to the events of X. And she walks out. She's on set with the director, and she basically says, look, you have the weekend. Take the weekend off. Whatever's going on with you, like, get it together, because this next step is going to be, we're going to work, and I can't have you up my movie.
Yeah.
And she was like, got it. Understood.
She's like, I'll have the number 2 on the Concorde within 24 hours.
Which I think is, she's salivating. She's foaming at the mouth to take your part.
Yeah. You didn't mention that what's her face? Lily Collins is like the lead in this movie, The Puritan.
Is that who that was?
That's Lily Collins, yeah.
Okay, that's fun. Now, I'm just gonna call him Arbogast because I don't know what his name. Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
He's
chases her into the psycho house on the lot.
Well, she's leaving the lot in the scene, and he's behind her with like video camera out, and she sees him. I thought this was great, where she she puts the car in park, wraps her knuckles in keys, and just beats the out of him with her keys. And he's like, "This you're gonna," and then that's when they kill the best friend.
That's when he gets the Jake from Chinatown, right? That's when
he's
gets
got the thing on his
bandages and all that.
Bandage on his nose. We should also say that Giancarlo Esposito is in this.
I didn't know he was in this movie, but I thought that was pretty funny.
As MaXXXine's agent/lawyer.
Entertainment lawyer.
Yes.
I love that. You're my lawyer, right? Entertainment lawyer. What I tell you means that you can't say anything, right? Technically, yes. Tell me what's going on. He's great. I love that he popped
He's
up
always
in
great.
this.
And she lays out everything that happened in X. And he was like, okay, like, don't worry about it. Like, if you do you do what you got to do. I'm not going to let your career get derailed, because then I'm out of money too.
Right.
But I will take care of the rest of this.
I like how he turns up into this like mob lawyer type.
It's great.
But, like, it was so unexpected, because he's got this wig on and he looks like, I don't know, he just looks like typical 80s lawyer, and you don't think he's really that threatening at all, but meanwhile he's pulling the strings behind the scenes
the whole time. Now MaXXXine has the weekend off. She is going to set up Kevin Bacon however she can. She ends up getting him to this club and thinking that, he's trying to tail her out of here. She sneaks out, and then he sees her outside, and he gets clubbed, he being Kevin Bacon, clubbed in the back of the head by the guy who played Young Rock. This guy was on the show.
Is that who that is? He looked familiar. Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't realize how big he was.
I guess if you're going to
play when he's standing
Young
next
Rock.
to Kevin Bacon, it's like, good Lord, that guy is a giant. So they put Kevin Bacon in his car in a trash compactor. And what I love about this scene is it does not play out how it normally would. Where
give me the information and we'll stop.
And I'll let you go.
It's total subversion.
MaXXXine doesn't even want the information. She's like, just squish him. And
which is like so it's like so emotional and rash, because clearly it's like they don't know who the killer is yet. But I mean, what we didn't really mention, we kind of alluded to though, he's working for whoever this killer is, and we don't know anything about their relationship other than he's like in the backseat of a car talking to him with his gloves and all that. She could have been like, who do you work for? That's how you think it's gonna go down. Nope, she's just like,
she says to hell with it, and
plus we
him.
know Kevin Bacon isn't the killer because we've seen him and the killer talking. She doesn't know that.
That's true. That's a good point.
But I thought she knows, because he's even like this
the person that I work for to come.
But he could be lying.
I gotcha. Oh, so you think maybe she thinks he's
no? I was thinking like you'd think you'd want to suss that out.
Oh, right, which is my point. But like
no, I was agreeing with you
okay.
that like. Yeah, like you would think you'd want to know if this is the guy you're supposed to be worried about.
But the thing crushes him in the car. You see all this blood come out of it, and then she's basically like, "It's over," but it's like, "But no, it's not." Because
she's
like, I'm looking at my watch, and I'm saying, "No, I don't think that this." Is
well, I think she probably thinks it's over, and then she remembers the letter that she got that had the address on it, and then she's flashing back to Halsey saying she's going to a party in the hills. The other girl at the party in the hills, the actress at the party in the hills, and then Michelle Monaghan saying, "Look, we need your help to protect the next girl."
Yeah.
So
she goes to the house in the hills,
and she's being tailed by the 2 cops. And she goes to the house, and I do like that they referenced this earlier. Do these houses exist, Tom? Do you know
that
if there are houses on the Hollywood Hills that you can take a gondola to?
I have no idea. That did not sound familiar to me.
Maybe
but,
it doesn't in the 80s.
Yeah,
maybe it seems very.
It
80s.
seems like a really big thing to make up, though.
Yeah,
that's also what I thought. Is like that's a bold move to make.
Yeah,
that
I
up.
doubt that they would randomly just make that. I mean, they could, but like, what would be the point? You know?
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, so it's a house in the hills, and
she goes up.
she walks.
She takes
in.
the gondola, and she walks into this house. And we had seen this house earlier. We had seen the 2 friends tied up in this house with the big green door. I didn't even put that together till I just said that. The friend is watching behind the green door. There's a giant green door. Like that's what they're doing here. So MaXXXine walks in and she sees briefcases and she sees all these videotapes, and she walks in and we hear what we had seen in the beginning of the movie is this little tape of a young MaXXXine talking to her dad. And this is the big reveal, is that her dad has set this all up to save the soul of MaXXXine. He's going full preacher mode where he's like, I'm going to bring you back to the side of the Lord and yada, yada, yada.
He's making a video. He's making
his own movie
of and like all these girls and like cleaning up all this.
And all of these little like
doing,
cultists are people who have relatives who have gone missing in LA, and they blame Hollywood and the seedy side of Hollywood. So
they like tie her up for a exorcism.
Well, we should say that she's on the spiral staircase. She knocks over a briefcase, and the body parts of the actress from The Puritan 2 come tumbling out, and her face is a recreation of the very beginning of the poster of The Puritan. Now she's tied up for an exorcism. I do like where the dad's like, okay, here's the big scene. I'm going to need you to play it up, please. Because they're videotaping this whole thing. They're doing it all, and as they're about to kill MaXXXine, here come the 2 cops, and the cops, open fire, and they
big shootout,
giant shootout.
It's big 80s dramatic.
I love the line where Michelle Monaghan is like, "Cover me, so I can reload." It's like, just duck down. Nobody has to cover anybody. Like,
but in an 80s movie, you have to.
That's exactly
right?
what it is. No,
like
you're
I mean,
totally right.
He knows what it's totally a B.
He looks
80s.
at her though. He has a moment where he's like, "What? Just duck." What are you talking about? So both, Bobby Cannavale, they kill all the bad guys. They have a great kill in the pool where MaXXXine shoves a knife up through the nose of one of the cult followers, which I think was a great kill.
Cultist, if you will.
Cultist, yes, very good. So they're running up to the Hollywood sign, which you cannot do.
She's chasing down the dad, is basically what it comes
and the
down
2
to.
cops are I think the 2 cops go first, and then she follows the cops. So we hear that Bobby Cannavale gets shot, and he's late. He dies, and then in a wild scene, we hear Michelle Monaghan. There's a gunfight. Michelle Monaghan comes around the corner. She's got a crucifix shoved through her eye, but she's like, I got him, and then she falls down the hill. That got a really funny reaction from the crowd, where like, I don't think they knew what to do, so they just started laughing.
Well, because it was,
which
it was
is a
really
pretty
weird.
ridiculous scene.
Yeah, it was
It's very Homer Simpson.
Yeah, to
It's
fall
very
down the
Homer
hill was just
Simpson.
very like, what? But again,
then
I
we-
think it's supposed to be big and bombastic, right? Like he's setting this up to be this insane 80s showdown.
Yes, correct.
I mean, it's a B movie. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing. It's not supposed to be serious.
No, absolutely right. Now we've got the confrontation between MaXXXine and her dad. MaXXXine's got a sawed-off shotgun in her hand. The police helicopter is overhead saying, "Put down the gun." And I'm beginning to think that the police helicopter wasn't totally real because they call her by her name.
I don't know. And it's weird because they do a little flash forward thing here where
Yeah.
she's like on set or something. And you kind of thought, oh, well, it ended where she just had him at gunpoint and they captured him and all this. And she's an actor now and she's on the movie set. And then they flash back and they show you what happened. And the helicopter is there still. And it's like, put your weapons down, whatever.
But they call her
have this-
MaXXXine.
I
MaXXXine put the
couldn't-
gun down. I think
Yeah,
that
they
was
say
what-
her name, and then like in the flashback, you see him shoot him in the, literally blow his head off. And I'm like, well, then she would be in jail now. Like that's not self-defense.
That's
at that
the weird
point.
thing. Is like I don't know what was real, but they do a great effect. If you've never seen the original Maniac with Joe Spinelli, I think, and Tom Savini, there's a great head gag.
It's like a watermelon.
It is Tom Savini at his finest, where he takes a shotgun blast to the face and just blows up his head.
Yeah, but again, like I don't think that we can. In this world, in a B movie, though, I do think it really happened. And I do think, like, she saved the day and she's the hero with all this cultists and these murders. I don't think you're supposed to logically go, like, well, she had him at gunpoint, so it wasn't self-defense, and now she'd be in jail. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in a B movie, I don't think it matters.
The only thing that throws me off is the cops saying her name.
Yeah.
The cops wouldn't know her name. Like, that's the part where it's like, it doesn't matter.
I don't know if the cops called it in. I mean, they have been tailing MaXXXine.
I guess that's true.
I don't know that they would know from that high up that she was who's left.
That's
you know what I mean?
interesting.
There's a
Yeah.
lot
That was
of
also
people.
a funny line when she meets Lily Collins for the first time. And Lily Collins is like, all right, Nadine, see you later.
Yeah.
And she's got MaXXXine on her jacket.
Right.
I was like, if that's not Hollywood, I don't know what is. Like,
But either way, I mean, clearly he's the bad guy and the evidence shows it. So the whole killing him, like, again, I don't think we're supposed to think of, like, in today's terms of, like, oh, well, then she'd be in jail. But she basically defeats the big, crazy 80s
explodes his head.
And then she becomes a big Hollywood actress. Now she's kind of taken over for the Lily Collins character and is going to be the new star of these movies.
The last scene is very reminiscent of Pearl, where if you watch the end credits of Pearl, they hold on Mia Goth's face the entire time. And she has this, like, Joker-esque grin where she's just trying to be normal for her husband who comes home, where this one is a plaster mold of Maxine's head that's, got guts and everything kind of splayed all over the bed, and it just holds on that head until just a little longer than maybe people were comfortable with, and then they close it out. I will say there is a scene where Maxine is sitting on the lot and she sees a bunch of World War I Army men
who were
walking,
marching for some reason.
Well,
like, they're not being filmed.
I'm guessing
They're
they're
not being
rehearsing
filmed.
for the scene.
They're just walking across the lot, but they're all still marching. I was like, why are they marching?
But Pearl's husband was a World War Army vet, and that's the exact same way he's dressed when we see him for the first time in Pearl. When he's walking up the road to see Pearl again, he's wearing that exact same outfit. So that has to be a throwback or a callback to that.
I think it's like an Easter egg, but remember they're different characters, so she
They are
has
different
nothing
characters,
to do
yes,
with the
yes.
husband.
I think it's
I mean, she meets
Easter egg
old
for
Howard,
Pearl.
but yeah.
And I do like that we see one of the things I didn't talk about was you see in Psycho 2, I think, you see Norman Bates having a vision of his mother in the window.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one we get it again. I don't know if that
sees
was Mia
Pearl
Goth in the old woman makeup, but she's up in the window in the Psycho in the Bates Motel Psycho house, which I thought was a nice nod. This, I do agree that this is probably the weakest, but when I say weakest, I still think that this trilogy's pretty great. Like,
I liked it a lot. I just think it kind of
was
fizzled
a lot
out.
of fun.
I wish they stuck the landing a little more. I wish
The dad
mystery
thing was a
little
little off. That definitely knocked it down a couple notches.
Yeah,
but
because you're waiting and like the whole time you have that hint of it. And I think when they revealed it, I was just, you like, yeah.
Like,
I
that
would have liked some kind of a like, oh my gosh, I didn't think of that, or oh, that was clever. But it was more just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if the reveal is that anticlimactic, then it should have just positioned the whole time as her father is on her tail.
Brittany Snow was the actress I was thinking about from X, who gets chomped on by the alligator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yes, I agree, Tom. I like the idea of her, like, uber conservative Christian dad being like, I can bring her back.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's also, it's a very relevant commentary from all the way back then with the Satanic Panic to all the way to current day now, where it's like religious people committing heinous acts in the name of the Bible and everything, right? So it's like, I'm going to commit
like
all
the
these
Crusades.
murders. Right. I'm going to commit all these murders and do these terrible things because of religion, like because I'm good. But it's like you're doing terrible things. So it's, a commentary on religion as a whole. And
it is. But I think that, man, this movie looks fantastic.
It does. I wish I'd
it's-
have had a better ending because I enjoyed it a lot. It looked good performances, good horror stuff. I just don't think it quite sticks it.
I do. I think Ty West is probably one of the more interesting filmmakers to come out of that
VHS.
VHS, like that mid 2010s. Like there's a
Yeah.
bunch of people, Adam Wingard, Ty West, Joe Swanberg, a lot of those guys. I think Ty West has the best averages so far. Adam Wingard has kind
He hasn't
of
done much. So he did The House of the Devil in
which is
2000
fantastic,
In 2009, he did
Yep.
The Innkeeper in 2011.
which is also great.
But then I don't think he did anything until X. That's
did
11
Did
years.
he not work on some TV stuff? Did he not work on the Exorcist TV show?
So after The Innkeepers, he did VHS, like I mentioned, but that's a segment. The ABCs of Death, that's another segment. Oh, he did something called The Sacrament. I guess wasn't.
Oh
familiar
my
with
God,
it.
dude! The Sacrament is one of the most unnerving movies I've ever seen.
Is it really?
It
Okay.
is like a Vice documentary, going into Jonestown right before
Oh.
everything happens. Like it's the
Gotcha.
one of the cameraman's sisters is basically in Jonestown, and they're trying to get her out, and it is unnerving.
Okay. I'll have to check that
I
out.
recommend it. It's very good. But it's the guy that plays like the Jim Jones-esque character is. It's the old guy from the gas station in No Country for Old Men.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and he is unhinged.
Gotcha. So he did mainly TV. He had one movie, In the Valley of Violence, in 2016. So I guess that one was in between all that. But other than that, it's like TV show, TV show, TV show, TV show. Stuff like Scream, the TV show, The Exorcist TV show. Like he was doing big horror shows.
Yeah.
But then, he came back with X. So there's a big gap in there. It'll be
Well,
interesting to see what he does next.
It would be. I'm very much so. Adam Wingard just says, "Screw the horror. I'm just going to keep doing these Godzilla movies."
Godzilla movies, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table, and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at Joey Butts, BUTTS21. Also on Letterboxd at the same.
This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin R. Brackett.
And this is Tom. You can follow me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon at patreon.com/Real Spoilers. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Rick blackmails Lou.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, 'cause we